Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. One of the nice things about the IAE ship sale event is that with nearly every ship available, it becomes the best opportunity to evaluate and adjust your fleet capabilities in each specific area, including in light of new options that have been made available. One of those capabilities is providing medical support for activities, particularly your armed assault operations. And one of those new options is the Terrapin Medic. But there are a lot of ways to approach this, and I'm going to break it down into three main categories. And to keep the speculation to a minimum, I'm only going to talk about things that are currently in the game, and I'm only going to talk about the medical gameplay that is in the game right now. I could talk a lot about how Death of a Spaceman will change things, and I could talk an awful lot about how I hope the medical gameplay will evolve in the future. In fact, I've talked a lot about those things, but it is generally a bad idea to make current game plans around future speculations about what changes might be like in the future. And in the current gameplay, medical is mostly about managing available respawn locations and making your respawn and return time much shorter. Yes, there is healing injuries, but most of the time you are negating symptoms with drugs, and since there are no Death of a Spaceman penalties yet, simply backspacing would become incapacitated. And because of this, the main thing about medbeds is that all of them can be respawn points the same, and thus the practical benefit of Tier 2 versus Tier 3 medbeds is not a lot. Yes, that may change in the future, but not now. So let's look at the first category, which I'm going to call ambulances for simplicity. These are small to medium craft whose top-line purpose is medical, and there is quite a range in sizes of them. In fact, it wasn't until I lined them all up here in my hangar that I realized how large their size difference really was. In particular, I hadn't realized how much larger the Terrapin was over the Pisces and how much larger the Cutlass was over the Terrapin. So starting with the smallest, we have the Ursa Medevac rover at $60 US, also known as the Ursa, and its primary strengths are its small size, but also that the cockpit has a second seat, so a player can aim and shoot the top remote turret while the driver approaches the site. However, it doesn't have an awful lot of storage for replacement arms and armor for those that have been revived. Next, at $65 US ship value is the Pisces C8R. And of course, it is a ship so you can get it to its destination on its own. It has a little more room for storm replacement armor, and frankly, its small size makes it a favorite for me for doing bunkers because it's possible to bring it right up to the door of the facility. Next in size, at $220 US ship value, currently on sale at $200 war bond, new money with LTI, is the Terrapin Medic. It is over twice the size of the Pisces and over twice the price. And what does that get you? Well, it gets you Tier 2 instead of a Tier 3 medbed, although, as I said earlier, its practical use as a respawn point isn't much different. It gets you Size 2 instead of Size 1 guns. It gets you 2 medium rather than 1 small shield generator, and a lot more damage resistance. So the Pisces is for bringing into places that have already been pacified, or just outside the area of operations, while the Terrapin can be brought into locations that are still a little bit warm. But if the area is no longer hostile, you can bring the Pisces much closer and land it on a much smaller place. Now, the largest of the ambulances is the Cutlass Red at $135 US ship value. The Red has 2 size 1 medical beds rather than 1 size 2. It has 1 medium shield generator instead of 2. It has a less beefy shell, but it gains a lot in what you might call real ship things. It can hold 12 SCU of cargo. It has a weapons rack and suit lockers, a toilet, bunks, and a co-pilot seat. And instead of 2 size 2 weapons, it has 4 size 3 weapons. So while the Terrapin can take some knocks, the Cutlass Red can give them some knocks. All for $85 less. And of course, with all that, the footprint is huge by comparison, but still small in comparison to ships that really need a larger hangar like this. But that brings me to the second category of medical capabilities, medbays in larger ships. Currently, there are 3 ships with dedicated medical bays, although more will be coming. The Carrack Large Expedition Ship at $500 US ship value, the 890 Jump at $950 US ship value, and the Corvette at $975 US ship value, currently on sale at $850 war bond new money. With these ships, medical is a secondary benefit to their main purpose, but it does mean that your medical needs are covered. Then we get to the third category, and that is what I would call medicalized ships, which are ships with large enough cargo areas that you can roll a Ursa on board and just leave it there, the Ursa essentially functioning as a medical suite module. Now, I'm not going to try to do a comprehensive list here. These are some of them that make the most sense. The Freelancer Max is known as a very soloable cargo ship and can add an Ursa to its cargo capacity and still have a fair area yet, and a decent soloable weapons jet for $210 total. One of the most obvious is the Constellation series, since the Ursa rover was built specifically for it. The Andromeda is the most combat-focused of the line, including a dedicated Merlin snub, 2-man turrets, and a huge supply of missiles. And add an Ursa to it, and for $300 totals, is a pretty potent combination. The Starlancer Max can not just fit an Ursa on board, but can fill its entire grid-rated cargo capacity and still have in the middle of the cargo deck for that Ursa. A total ship value that would be $310. $10 more than that gets you the Mercury Starrunner, a very popular ship with a wide cargo bay that could hold an Ursa plus other cargo, even another buggy. And perhaps the most obvious choice for adding an Ursa in the back would be the Valkyrie dropship. It has 20 seats for soldiers, so the ability to not just deploy them to battle, but also return them quickly to battle would be invaluable. The Valk plus an Ursa would be $435 US. That's not a complete list, but only some of the more obvious choices intended to illustrate that there are a lot of possibilities. At the present, there does not seem to be any system for transferring ship damage to the contents. So if the carrier ship is disabled, the Ursa inside would most likely still be functional. Thus, the carrier ship is effectively acting as armor for the Ursa. So now let's update our giveaways. We've just started our giveaway for the next year's IAE with a Starlancer Max, alliteration TBD, plus our Grow the Channel Ship giveaway for 20,000 subscribers for the winner's choice in the marvelous multi-role mining meta, the Ursa, or that brand new big box bargain bazaar, the Merchantman. One entry per video on all these contests. Members are entered automatically on any video where their membership is active. Otherwise, be a subscriber and comment using the secret word. And the secret word for this video is how much less than the largest of the ambulance ships costs compared to the second largest. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond for Ray's Guide.